Hi, do you get nervous before making any presentation? Do you experience butterflies in the stomach? Well, that is absolutely normal. But this happens even more when you are not prepared well. So in this video, I'm going to tell you how to make your next PowerPoint presentation the best. However, it cannot substitute your research findings, novelty, applicability of your work. So assuming that you have worked sincerely, you have got fantastic results which are of industrial importance, you have not plagiarized or manipulated your results, I'm going to share with you some tips for making your scientific presentation much more appealing. So we are going to see how to enhance the audio-visual impact of your talk during either your Viva Voice presentation or paper presentation during seminars and conferences and various competitions. These tips are based upon my experience for about 10 years in evaluating and guiding M.Pharm students. As I said earlier, your results obtained are of topmost priority and importance. But after that, your presentation will be judged by how your slides appear, the way you explain and present your contents, and lastly, the way you answer the questions. And all these skills can be learned, can be practiced, and can be implemented very effectively. So how you are going to exactly go about it? You need to first understand that preparing the neat and attractive slides are at most necessary. So you should invest some time in actually preparing your slides. There are some common mistakes which I have observed that students do repeatedly. So you need to cautiously avoid them. After your slides are prepared, then you need to rehearse your talk. Based upon the time allotted to you, you need to practice it until you get it right. And lastly, you need to predict what can be the questions asked based upon your contents, and you need to be prepared for it in the advance. After you make a rough draft of your presentation, just pay attention. Are you also repeating these commonly observed mistakes? Use of incorrect symbols, abbreviations, making mistakes in the spelling and grammar, improper tenses, violating the scientific writing conventions, doing mistakes in the singular and plural forms. This everything can be avoided. If we take example of a symbol, if you are mentioning temperature in the degree Celsius, there is a symbol of this degree Celsius which can be inserted through the symbol option. But many times students use this capital O or 0 and they make it superscript. This degree symbol is already in the superscript form, so you need not to again format it. Spelling mistakes. In the Microsoft Word as well as PowerPoint, you can do a spell check as well as grammar check, and you can manually go through each and every word and you can select the right one. Sometimes the spelling mistakes are so high they can change the meaning of the word. If you want to write that you have developed or you have implemented design of experiments systematically, many students write systemic. Systemic means blood circulation. So please do not commit such blunders. How to write this scientific conventions or abbreviations. Retention time can be written as small t and r as a subscript. You can refer to pharmacopoeia or various journals, research journals of repute, and there you can get these things. How to write pH? Again, the most widely observed mistake. You need to write this P as small and H as capital. Those who work on HPTLC or TLC, when you are using these plates, these numbers like 254, they are subscript. So it usually actually depends upon the field of your work. There can be different conventions which are used. Spelling mistakes you can avoid, as I told you. You cannot have brackets at the beginning. Whenever you write any word, after that in the bracket, you can write its synonym, which can be read as a complete sentence. See, here multiplication sign is also not seen. There is a spelling mistake in the title itself. Again, this is also observed many times. Students do confuse between the singular and plural forms. Say you are writing about the applications. You are enlisting multiple applications, but still in the heading you are writing as a singular form. So please understand, even in case of say your materials and methods, when you are talking about a single thing, that particular drug was weighed. But if you are talking about multiple, that is dilutions, then dilutions were made. So such type of mistakes you can avoid. Now this is the common abbreviation list which is given by elsewhere. You need to use only these official and accepted short forms. For gram, the abbreviation is only G, not GM. Usually when we report any melting point, in the bracket we need to write uncorrected. If you're writing N-hexane, N-butanol, then that N must be italic. Abbreviation of standard deviation is S.D. TLC, RF is mentioned as capital R and small or capital F as a subscript. Abbreviation for Rs is only H, not HR or HRS. This is the list given by elsewhere. You can also refer to the list of abbreviations given by any pharmacopoeia or reference books in your field. Apart from this, if you are going to intentionally abbreviate something like your drug name, say cefixime, if you are going to abbreviate it as CEF, then whenever you are reporting this at the first time, you need to write cefixime as a complete name in the bracket CEF. While writing names of the chemicals, reagents, you need to take care like HCl, hydrochloric acid. Its abbreviation is capital H, capital C and small l. Many of the students write the L also capital. While reporting formulae, all the numbers should be subscript. While if there are techniques like NMR, then atomic mass number should be written as superscript and should be before the atom. There are certain words which need to be written in the italics. For example, if you are writing any biological name, say for a plant, animal or microorganism, it is written always in the italics. The first letter of the genus is capital, rest everything is small. If you are writing stereochemical features of the chemical structure or isomeric positions like orthometa-para, cis-trans, this is also written in italic. In the statistics, usually p-value, it is written in the italic. Latin words like in vitro, in vivo, in situ, they are also written italics. The idea behind making Latin words as italic was because English is the main language used in the scientific literature whenever you are introducing any word of the foreign language. It needed to be italicized. But nowadays there are many words which come from the Latin. So many of the journals, they have removed this requirement of making this italic. But during scientific presentations and your thesis, it is always better that you must italicize this form. Or you can also highlight or indicate important words by writing them italic. So for enhancing appeal of certain words, you can intentionally make them italic. You can also make them bold or highlight or use different colors for them to increase their impact. Coming to the improper tenses, as you are explaining methods which you have already performed, you should use past tense. If you are presenting a proposal for seeking funding, you should use future tense. So mostly this presentation is targeted to the M.Pharm dissertation students. They should use past tense for writing the procedures. See, in the first, there is no tense written, but the second, it mentions the present tense, and that too, it is in the instruction form that place it for 1 hour. Make up the volume. You are not going to instruct someone to do these steps for you. You are giving your presentation saying that you have already performed these steps. So you should use past tense. That you have neutralized it already. This part has already happened. So for writing methods, you should use past tense. Even for writing results, say you are doing linearity, so you must write different concentrations were prepared, solutions were injected, graph was plotted, R square was obtained. But now, because you are presenting it now, you can use present tense, that results are shown in so and so figure, or the graph is indicated in so and so figure, or all summary of the validation parameters is presented in the so and so table. So use present tense for whatever you are doing in the present. If you are talking about the scope or applicability of your work, you should use future tense, that the method developed by you will be helpful for estimating the content of the said drug as a QC. Now once you have checked your presentation for these mistakes, now you can work on making this presentation more effective. So you need to take care that you are using same font. Say for this presentation, I'm using Comic Sans for heading. I'm using Arial font for the description. So this you should maintain uniformity in all the slides. Also, you should fix up some font size. Like I'm using 36 font size for the title, I'm using 20 for my description. You can also stick to use of 3 or 4 colors. Say for heading, I'm using pink color. For important words, I'm using this orange, blue and red color. Preferably, you can prepare your slides as dark colors on the light background, instead of making a black background and using a white font. Wherever appropriate, you need to insert tables, graphs, figures, animations, videos to present the information instead of giving paragraphs. And where tables, figures are not available, like you are enlisting the applications, you can convert them into bullet points and try to make a use of the entire slide. Entire slide space is for you. So make best use of this. You should insert slide numbers. If the font is very small, you can increase the font so that slide numbers can be seen and examiners can easily note it down to ask you questions with respect to particular slide. Now we will see all the points one by one. So I was talking about using a light colored background over which you can have a dark colored text. In contrast to a dark color background and having a light color font. This appears more attractive, but this works well when you have very lesser content on your slides. During scientific presentation, we have so many tables and graphs and information to be shown. So as our contents are high, you have a wide choice of colors when you have a light background. Otherwise, if it is a black background, and if you're talking for say 45 minutes, presenting your entire thesis, then it is not very pleasant to the eyes. Contrast as well as distinguishing between different points become very easy when you use different colors, and the choice is more when you have a light background. Make the best use of the whole slide space. Your content should not be occupying a particular corner or only at the top or at the bottom. Try to make use of entire slide. Instead of writing bigger sentences and paragraphs, I would prefer writing it as bullet points, maximum 2 lines. But if you can fit your point in the one line only, that will be really great. And whatever contents you are writing, take care that font is optimum. It should not be too large, but it should be readable. While using the entire space on the slide, take care that it is not hiding your main content. Leave some space from the top as well as bottom, because at the bottom also your tables or figures may overlay with your slide numbers, making them invisible. With justify alignment, sometimes there is too much space is given between different words, so just take care to avoid it. Do not break any words, or say this bracket can be taken into the line just below this so that it will appear good. While quoting the numbers in the tables, it is also observed that significant figures are different. So sometimes you are using only one figure after the decimal point, sometimes you are using two, sometimes three, so there is no uniformity. Ideally, two numbers after a figure are most widely used, but say depending upon the significance of that value, say r square, when the condition is that it should be greater than 99, you have to quote three numbers. Or if you are presenting HRMS data, high resolution MS, then obviously four numbers after the decimal point are expected. Just make it uniform, and you need not to give it for very large figures. Tables and figures, again, use such a color combination that it becomes much more easily visible, as well as if you are writing say temperature over here, instead of every time repeating degree Celsius after every value, you can write it collectively in the topmost row or your header row. In case of figures, it is observed that axes are not labeled properly. You should know what you have plotted on the x-axis. If it is not available through the software, you can manually type it. So all the labels must be there along with the units. For example, here it is retention time on the x-axis. You must write retention time in bracket minute. On the y-axis, similarly, it can be a voltage or absorbance units. So that must be written. There are some general formatting instructions Microsoft Word as well as PowerPoint offers you the option to convert your sentence either as a sentence case, or there is also uppercase, lowercase, or capitalizing each word. If you are using sentence case, it means you are strictly capitalizing only first letter, that too of only first word of the center. See, in this case, forced degradation studies, only F is capital. Later on, even if it is your drug name, still it should not be capitalized. That will maintain the uniformity in the formatting. On the contrary, if you are using this case, capitalizing each word, then say for example, new fragmentation pathways for cephalosporins, you are capitalizing first letter of each word. That time you need to take care that you are not going to capitalize these prepositions and conjunctions which are used to connect the sentences or to locate them. Say for, by, and. This you can use it for giving title of your presentation. So you need to take care. Either you can use both the cases, but you need to follow them strictly. If you are writing bullet points and your sentence is exceeding one line, see on this slide, my first sentence is exceeding the first line. It is occupying two lines. So you should not give a bullet over here because second line is a part of my first point. It is not the second point. Bullet is used to explain a particular point and not a sentence. Also, many students unnecessarily give the full stop after explaining only points. So because we are writing here a sentence, we can give full stop. But if you are just enlisting, say, chemicals used in the form of bullets, because name of a chemical is not a sentence, so you should not use full stop for that. At the end, you will be quoting your references. So there are options available with you. Either you can quote references or key references or bibliography. There are differences in them. You must have referred number of references for preparing your presentation. So whatever references you have used and you have taken the information from them, you have cited them. If you are reporting all of them, then you can give heading as references. But because of the restriction on number of slides, say different competitions allow only 10 slides, or for Viva Voice presentations, if there is a guideline of only 30 to 35 slides. So due to restriction on the number of slides, if you are just quoting few important references out of the total references you have used, then you must write key references. You can have bibliography when you are going to quote such references which you have referred, but you have not used information from that reference to this slide. Say just for clearing your concept, you referred to one book, but you have not quoted that information over here. If you are writing bibliography, you can quote it. So bibliography is for additional reading. Sometimes in books, they write references and bibliography. References for the direct information used from these sources and bibliography for additional reading. which might be of interest to you, that can be included. While writing the references, again, it's a tough job, but then you can avoid simple mistakes like you are writing here a website reference. So website reference should always be succeeded by accessed on and that date, because website content may keep on changing. So whatever information you have quoted, that you have observed it on that particular day, that date you must mention over here. Accessed on say 29th May 2020. While writing journal article references, book references, either follow guidelines from a particular journal, or you can make some uniform way of writing your references. See, here it is author surname followed by initial and then there is comma. But in the second reference, there is author surname followed by comma and then there is initial. So you should not quote such discrepancies. We never write VOL as volume. For the first reference, it is written. For the second reference, the word VOL is not written. Page numbers, here they are not written. For the second, it is written as PP. So you must refer to some standard journal in your field of research and have uniformity in writing the references. Otherwise, immediately when you finish the presentation, the last thing which has made impact on the examiners is the reference slide, and they will start evaluating you on this basis. And if you are doing mistakes in this, something which is in your hand, you have got a lot of time to do this. If you are showing careless approach in this, then whatever impact you have made till now will go waste. So you need to take your every effort till your last slide. After you make excellent slides, it is very necessary to do the rehearsal. You have to practice, say in the form of a mirror, or if that empty classroom is available to you, or in front of your friends, you have to practice it so that you will gather appropriate words which you are going to say for every slide. You can even prepare your script for every slide. You can have one-page information which you are going to say. You are not going to read the slides. Slides are for the audience. You have something more to tell to them because you have performed this research. So your talk must express the efforts you took, what made it interesting for you. So that enthusiasm you must show. So practice is necessary. And many of the students fail to explain the presentation. They just keep on reading. And if the examiner pick up any point and ask them meaning of that word and they do not know. So you need to find out meaning of each and every word in your presentation, starting from your first word to the last word from your slides. You need to Google it out or read more about it. If that term is scientific, then try to explain the meaning. That will be your real discussion or presentation. Otherwise, it will be a reading of the PowerPoint slides. And once you make an effort to explain them something, then automatically they will develop interest in your presentation. Needless to say, you need to wear a decent professional attire or whatever dress code defined by your college. While talking, please take care that you pronounce all the words clearly, correctly, as well as they should be audible to all the persons who are attending your presentation. Let's take an example. If you are explaining drug profile, instead of just reading that this is the structure of the drug, this is the IUPAC name, this is the molecular formula, this is the molecular weight, this is the category. Instead of reading this, you must try to explain it. For example, as you can see in the structure, this is a bulkier polyhydroxy compound, and you can actually count the number of hydroxy group and state this contains say 10 hydroxy groups. You can also mention some additional functional groups. You can also say about whether this drug is weakly acidic or basic by virtue of which of the functional groups over here. Based upon the IUPAC name, you can name a particular moiety, a particular heterocycle, say benzopyran. You can also locate it, or whether a particular stereochemical form, isomeric form is present, whether it is R isomer, S isomer, activity, whether it is depending upon this isomer, that you can explain. Based upon the formula, you can say it is a hydrocarbon containing carbon, large number of carbon, hydrogen and oxygens, and it's a trihydrate. Instead of quoting just a number in the molecular weight, you can say it's a large molecular weight compound, and you can also talk about whether it is whether it can cross the biological membrane and what impact it has on the absorption, what type of absorption it has in the body. In the category, you can also explain mechanism of action, against which kind of diseases this drug was approved, in which year it was approved, in what all dosage forms it is available, what are the brand names, what are the companies manufacturing this. When it comes to the scientific terms, for example, pKa, if it is acidic drug, then you must try to explain for an acid, pKa value of 6.5 indicates it's a weak acid. And if your mobile phase pH is 4, then an acid in the acidic pH should be unionized. You must have carried out your trials in the acidic pH, alkaline pH, so you can later on quote retention behavior of your drug based upon this pK value. Then for the log p value, instead of just saying again the number, try to find out what does log p value means. What does positive value means? What does negative value means? What is magnitude of 3 means? What is the maximum number a particular drug can have with respect to log p value? Whether it is hydrophilic or lipophilic compound, and again what impact it has on the solubility. So whether it is soluble in your mobile phase. Instead of just reading its appearance, you can tell your actual experience while weighing this drug, whether this drug is crystalline or amorphous, was it hygroscopic, did it change its color during weighing, when it came in contact with the air or light. That will indicate that you have actually worked with this drug. Storage conditions, you can say. So knowing each and every word in your presentation will help you also in answering the questions. So you must anticipate what kind of questions it is generating, and you can prepare your defense accordingly. You can even prepare your defense slides right after your thank you slide. If they ask you in which year it was approved and in which dosage forms for which company, so after thank you slide, you can have one slide which is showing in which country it was approved, the list of brand names, companies which are manufacturing it, the dosages, the dosage form, dosage regimen. You can be prepared. So if you follow all these steps carefully, if you take or if you make the best of your effort in preparing the slides, in explaining the contents, in answering the contents, I'm sure it will be the best presentation for you. You should progress in this way. You should take effort on all three levels, on your slides, your talk, and your defense. In case if you are not able to answer anything, then you can politely say that right now I am not aware of this, but I am interested in finding out this answer, or I would love to find out this answer. You can note down that question and you can answer to that evaluator, say on the next day or whenever you get that answer. So it is a continuous learning process. I would like to express my deep sense of gratitude to my mentor and our beloved principal, Dr. K.G. Bothra sir, who was keen enough in evaluating my presentations as well as all the presentations which take place at SIOP, be it PG students presentations or for any paper presentation competitions. Thanks a lot to him. At the end, you should also not forget to say thank you to your audience for patient listening. So this is about making your presentation best. If you have any queries, please write in the comment section or you can personally contact me. Thank you.